Hi, join me as I show you how to create a very simple SuperDuo bracelet featuring SuperDuo's pearls and crystals. This Super Delight bracelet was done while in the presence of my 6-year-old, and she actually helped me to design, pick out the colors, and string some of the beads. So it's really simple. I know you can do it. If you do need any supplies, go ahead and look below the video in the description, and we'll give you links to the website which lists it all out, and you can add it to your cart there. Gather up your materials on your Bead On It board, and let's get started. So we're going to begin this Super Delight bracelet named by my 6-year-old here with 4 different beading products and then a clasp. I have 2mm bicones, 11/0 seed beads, SuperDuos, and 4mm pearls. Because I'm using gold seed beads, I went with the golden dragon thread, and we have a stop bead at the end of the thread. You want to leave yourself enough room at the end of the thread to put on your clasp. So I'm going to move this a little bit further, and I'm using a size 10 needle with this. A 10 or 11 will work just fine. The first thing I'm going to do is add my pearl. The pearl that I'm going to put on again is that 4mm pearl, and let it drop right down next to that stop bead. After that, we're going to add our first 11/0 seed bead and our first SuperDuo. And with this SuperDuos, with a mix like this metallic or the purple iris gold mix, you don't have to worry about what you pick up, just pick up any of them. From here, after your pearl, we are going to reverse our thread because we're going to work on the inside first and then go to the exterior outside. We're going to reverse the thread from the top hole to the bottom hole or the interior of that SuperDuo. Give a nice tight pull so you don't see any extra thread. Now what we're going to do is add a total of 3 more SuperDuos with an 11/0 before and after each one of them. So you're going to end up with 3 SuperDuos and 4 11/0 seed beads. Go into the opposite side of the SuperDuo that your thread is currently coming out of, and spin around there to get your first interior link. From here, I want you to sew through the next 11 and the next SuperDuo. Give a nice tight pull on this here. You see that nice little diamond on the interior. You're now going to reverse your thread again. We're coming out the interior of this second SuperDuo, and we're going to go and step up to the exterior of that SuperDuo. From here, add 1 more of your 11/0 seed bead. Go back into the pearl so you're catching on the opposite side, which means you're going to be sewing into the pearl from that stop bead area. When you're into the pearl on that stop bead area, you want to make sure that you can go in here and that you cannot sew through that stop bead. Bring your thread and needle through that section, and then we're going to go in and actually go to the side here, sewing over and adding our crystals. Sew through the next 11/0 and that first SuperDuo. That'll bring the thread out towards the exterior, and we're going to add crystals and pearls along the exterior here to create our first little component. The next thing we're going to do, like I said, is decorate the side. So we're going to use 1 11/0, 1 of our 2mm crystals, and another 11/0. That's always going to be the side of the piece, which is going to make it a little bit more oval in shape, since it's going to be a smaller or a less of a length than where the pearl is. The next one we're going to do is our pearl, which is 11/0, a pearl, and then an 11/0 seed bead, and we're going to sew into the next hole of our SuperDuo, empty SuperDuo on the exterior here. From there then, going over and swinging and connecting back to that first one, 11 crystal and an 11, and into the SuperDuo, into the 11, in through the pearl if you want. And basically that finishes up our little component. This is also a really cute pair of earrings if you see it. Just add an ear wire on, easy to go. From here we need to get to the secondary pearl that we added. So we're going to go through that whole exterior side on the right here, sewing through our SuperDuos, sewing through our 11s, and then we get to start the same thing over and over and over again. It's a really simple pattern. So I'm going to go through the 11 and come out the pearl, just like we did after we put the pearl on first. From here, an 11-0 goes on and a SuperDuo goes on. Once we do that, and I'm going to do this one a little faster because you should be faster at it as you get going. Turn your thread and reverse it back through that same SuperDuo towards the interior. Add an 11-0 followed by 3 more SuperDuos that have an 11-0 between each and before and after them. Go to the opposite side of the SuperDuo that your thread is currently coming out of, which will bring those 3 SuperDuos towards the interior. From here, take your needle and thread through the next 11-0 and the next SuperDuo, which is the first one you just put on. Reverse the thread through that SuperDuo, coming out through the top hole of that same SuperDuo. Add your 11-0 seed bead and sew through the 4mm pearl. That gets our next one linked on there. From here, go ahead and sew through your 11-0 and your SuperDuo, that secondary hole, towards the outside, 11 crystal 11 through the next hole of the exterior SuperDuo, 11 pearl 11 through the next hole of that next SuperDuo, 11 crystal 11 through the next SuperDuo, also reinforcing, going through the 11-0, the pearl, coming out there, which I love the fact that you get a second strand through there, and tighten that up. Then you're going through again the whole exterior. This time I'm at the top, going through the 11, SuperDuo 11, through the 2mm crystal, through the 11, through the SuperDuo, the 11, and out through your pearl. You can see how easy and simple this design is and repetitive in the project itself. You're going to just keep going, adding them together and getting your repetition of this Super Delight bracelet. So once you have the number of units that you need, and I have 13 here, you can do about 14 if you needed a full 7.5, you are going to do your clasp. I've picked a really pretty Claspgarten clasp. This is just a nice push clasp going in, and you have the little push there, you can hear it click, and has that nice little crystal to it. So here on the exterior, I am going to grab 1, 2, and 3 11-0s coming out the last pearl. So instead of grabbing 1 11-0 and 1 SuperDuo, we just grab 3 11-0s. We're going to put on our clasp going through the loop. You can use a wire guard if you want to. Come back down through that last 11-0. I'm not going to pull it tight so you can see kind of that thread path. Grab 2 more 11s, and then you're going to sew through the pearl from the opposite side. When you do so and give it a pull, you get that nice V. We're going to reinforce going up through those 2 seed beads, the third one through the clasp, making sure when you're doing this that you're wrapping around the clasp and then coming back down through the 11, going back through those 2 11s right after, back through the pearl, and you can repeat a third time if you like to get more of a, feel a bit more secure about your clasp enclosure. And the gold thread here matches perfectly with the gold clasp, so you don't even see it. After you come down through that secondary side, you're going to want to tie off your thread. And you're going to repeat this on the beginning side as well, just taking off the stop bead. Go back through the pearl here, so back towards the interior of the design, and go somewhere next to a gold bead where you can really hide the gold thread and you won't see it. So I'm going to take my thread and needle through my SuperDuo back towards the interior, and then I'm going to sew underneath the thread that connects that SuperDuo and that 11-0, underneath what is called a bridge thread. From here you see I made a little loop. That little loop I'm going to sew through once, and I'm going to sew through twice. So I'm sewing through the loop once and I'm sewing through the loop twice. What that's going to do is a nice sewer's knot that as I pull this down between the beads, it's going to be a nice tight firm knot, and it's going to go right in between the beads and you're not going to see it. Sew a little bit further into the project. You can do that again, or you can take your thread burner, burn down your thread edge, and then take the project and burn the thread flat against it. When you do this next to a gold bead, you really don't see it. I'm going to take off my stop bead here and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Once you're finished putting on your clasp, you can see how nice and simple this delicate, super delicate and super delightful bracelet is. Thanks to Mimi for putting some of the beads on the little silver and crystal bracelet that she wants. And I'm excited to see the different color combinations that you can do. You can also do one where you do crystals on the outside, pearls on the outside, the next one, crystals, pearls, change up the pattern. I even tried when I was creating it to put a little extra crystal in there and scooping over from the SuperDuo to SuperDuo. Looks cute, didn't add a ton to the design, but you can certainly change it up, and comment below if you do any changes to help out other Potomac beaders that may be watching. Thanks so much for joining me in creating that beautiful Super Delight bracelet. You can do it with 2 needles. Also, if you want to, that was a question that somebody had while we were creating this on Twitch. If you've never joined us there, check that out, twitch.tv/PotomacBeads, and you can build with us as we create and watch some behind the scenes as well. Remember, if you need any materials, look below the video in the description. We'll put links there to get back to our site. As always, don't forget to subscribe because you don't want to miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching, Potomac Beaders, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.